This Daryl with Louisiana Simple Living. You know, I always talk about needing to make memories, and one of the best ways to do this is to spend time exploring the great sights, sounds, and tastes for our beautiful state of Louisiana, adjoining states, and across our beautiful country. With this in mind, Aaron and I decided to go and spend the weekend in Natchez, Mississippi. The main attraction, there was the Inaugural Mudbug Festival on the Mississippi River Bluff, which featured some great live music. While there, we also want to go ahead and explore Natchez. It's been a number of years since we've actually had the opportunity to spend the night there and check out some of the attractions. And Natchez is a neat town with great food, great people, tons of history. It lies on the southwestern border of Mississippi and it's the oldest city on the Mississippi River. With over 1,000 structures listed on the National Register of Historic Places, Natchez takes pride in its preservation efforts. We stayed at the Rising Sun B&B, which was enjoyable and a central great location in the historic district of Natchez. This weekend is the Inaugural Mudbug Festival in Natchez on the Mississippi River Bluff. We brought some chairs in, relaxed while listening to some great live music, and did some people watching, and that's always fun. This is 2nd Avenue out of Memphis, Tennessee. They're a blues and soul blues band. They really sounded good too. Now this is a group called Driving and Crying. It's an American Southern rock band. They're out of Atlanta. I tell you, the weather was perfect, the company was perfect, along with the venue. Absolutely had a blast here at this Mudbug Festival. We will be back.
My lady teenage boy cut grass. Let me go ahead and tell y'all thanks for coming in case this is my last song. I appreciate y'all. Get it on one time. We're gonna have a good time tonight, man. I appreciate y'all coming.
Alright, so this is the Rising Sun. This is where we're staying. We're kind of up in that corner, front corner there. Pretty old houses along here. This is circa 1890. Yeah, we really enjoyed the Rising Sun B&B. Dr. Turk, the owner, very hospitable, a lot of knowledge. It was fun. Yeah, so this is the back side of the house. That's the house kind of straight ahead there. Now, Dr. Turk didn't have breakfast actually in the house, but just right across the street, not very, 100 yards or so, was Fahra's, which is a great breakfast in the morning. And it turns into a kind of a Greek and Lebanese restaurant at lunch and dinner. We actually had lunch there another day, and it was excellent. Try them out. It's just in the courtyard where we're eating at this guest house. This is the Natchez National Cemetery. The government purchased 11 acres in 1866 near the city cemetery to establish the Natchez National Cemetery. Remains are brought here from elsewhere in the city and sites in both Mississippi and Louisiana. By the 1870s, the remains of 3,085 soldiers were interred in the cemetery. The identities of only 305 were known. As you can tell from the footage, there's many headstones for the unknown soldiers. It's a strikingly beautiful National Cemetery. Alright, so it looks like this whole front row is unknown U.S. soldiers. Just has a number, unknown U.S. soldier all along there. Alright, this is the Natchez City Cemetery. It was established in 1822 on the bluffs high above the Mississippi River. This historic cemetery is one of the most beautiful in the South. Steeped in history and elaborate metal fence works, tombstones, and mausoleums. Definitely worth a drive through if you're in the area. Pretty tree.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful old mausoleum.
Man, that's small. This is 1806 to 1878. 1802 to 1867. So we visited the Stanton Hall, and it was only just right across the block from where we were staying in our B&B. But the Stanton Hall was built during 1851 to 57 for Frederick Stanton, who was a cotton broker. As a replica of his ancestral home in Ireland, Stanton named it Belfast, but unfortunately he only lived there for a short time and he died. It did survive the American Civil War, and in 1890 was made home to the Stanton College for Young Ladies. In 1940 it was acquired by the Pilgrimage Garden Club, which used it as its headquarters and operates it as a museum and event venue. The house was declared a National Historic Landmark in 1974 and a Mississippi Landmark in 1995. The Rosalie, but I don't know where you park. We also visited the Rosalie Mansion, which is a historic pre-Civil War mansion and historic house museum in Natchez. Built in 1823, it served as the architectural inspiration for a large number of Natchez's Grand Greek Revival mansions, was a major influence on antebellum architecture in this greater region. During the American Civil War, it served as Union headquarters for the Natchez area from July 63 on, and it was designated a National Historic Landmark in 1989. So here we are under the hill tavern, and all that's right down there. We showed you that earlier. And that's Vadalia across the river. And
Looks like we had the Ritz was a movie theater back in the day. It's boarded up. Small town USA. Here we are at St. Mary's Basilica. Oh, listen to the bells.
in 1837, Natchez was designated the seat of the Roman Catholic Church in Mississippi. In 1842, the bishop began construction. So 1842, this building started to be constructed. Only church built as a cathedral in Mississippi. And we made a quick stop by St. Mary's Basilica, or Cathedral Catholic Church in Natchez, recognized as an architectural masterpiece among Catholic churches in the South. Yeah, we made a drive through under the hill where there's a couple of shops, the Under the Hill Tavern, and then on another part of under the hill is the Magnolia Bluff Casino and Hotel. You can get some great views as you go down the bluff, down the road of the Mississippi River Bridge and the river itself.
So we're going to Under the Hill Saloon. Looks like it's very popular. Nice. Spanish Colonial Natchez.
Alright, so this is where one of the casinos is at. Magnolia Bluff Casino. But wait, you can't go that way, okay?
Alright.
Yeah, we wanted to go and check out the Ole South Winery. It's a muscadine grape winery that we had visited back many years ago when we came to Natchez and spent a long weekend. Evidently, I don't know if it's because of COVID or what, but it's not open. It says it's open during the week, but definitely not over the weekend. Alright, the Eola Hotel is where we stayed actually the last time we were here in Natchez, and that was at least 20-25 years ago. Unfortunately, because of COVID, I guess it's out of business. They're not open. Bummer. Alright, so that's the Natchez Brewery. That's where the Mudbug Festival is, through those tents. That's the Epic Funk Brass Band.
Here we are, Natchez Trace Parkway.
In the late 18th century, Natchez was the starting point of the Natchez Trace. So the flatboatmen and keelboatmen would bring goods down the Mississippi River, but they couldn't go back up. So they'd basically sell all their produce, sell the wood off their boat, and then they'd have to walk back on the Natchez Trace.
So, looks like this is a bluff. Interesting facts.
Now, Lowest Bluff is located on the Natchez Trace Parkway at milepost 12.4. This bluff shows a deep deposit of windblown topsoil known as loess. It was formed during the Ice Age when glaciers covered the northern half of the U.S. Mount Locust Historic Site, Natchez. Good. So this is what the original trace looks like. This is part of it. Pretty crazy, you know, we got roads and all that. This was an improved road for back in the day. So yeah, I think it goes all the way to Nashville. All right, so Mount Locust Historic House. That's where we just came from, the other direction where the trace is. All right, we're getting ready to walk towards Mount Locust, the home. It was constructed around 1780. It's one of the oldest structures in Mississippi. It functioned as both a working plantation / farm and as an inn where travelers on the Natchez Trace could rest for the night. And as that sign says, Mount Locust remains as the only one of more than 50 inns that existed between 1785 and 1830 along the 500-mile old trace. I mean, just a beautiful magnolia here. This is on the other end of the property. This is where the old Natchez Trace actually went through there as well. In this quite secluded cemetery lie the remains of the founder of the Mount Locust Inn, William Ferguson. Uh-oh. This is their family graveyard. There's old Louis Bonaparte Chamberlain, 1802 to 1844.
The Fergusons.
Like the tall one on the right's Ferguson. That's Paulina. That was the original.
It's not William.
All right, it's kind of on the back side of the cemetery here. And it says William Ferguson. This marker designates the walled-in brick tomb of William Ferguson, 1756 to 1801. He was a pioneer, planter, innkeeper, magistrate, and builder of Mount Locust. So this is pretty cool. It's called the Great Arbor. You can imagine you could grow some things on here. They probably had a really nice vegetable fruit garden. You know, you got to grow everything you need here. You know, look how huge those fig trees are. Yeah, we know cistern from our time in the U.S. Virgin Islands. So ashes from wood-burning fires were saved, stored in this hopper, and used to make wood ash lye. After it was concentrated, it was slowly added to melted animal fat and brought to a slow boil. And after it cooled, the soap was cut into bars to use.
Alright, we are leaving, but couldn't leave without the nice Mount Locust Natchez Trace Parkway signage.
We also stopped by and explored the Emerald Mound. That's located about 10 miles northeast of Natchez. Emerald Mound's second largest Mississippian period ceremonial mound in the United States. Built and used in the years 1200 to 1730. This 35-foot high mound covers 8 acres and measures 770 feet by 435 feet at its base. And then 2 secondary mounds sit atop the primary mound, bringing total height to approximately 60 feet. All right, so we're at the Emerald Mound here in Natchez, or outside of Natchez, Mississippi. Just kind of see how high this mound is. Pretty wild, and there's 2 secondary mounds on both sides, or both ends. This is like a mound on top of the rest of the mound, the big mound. Natchez Trace Parkway. This is the Emerald Indian Mound. Yeah, we're coming from Natchez Trace Parkway, and we're just going to run into Vadalia, which is over the Mississippi River in the Mississippi River Bridge.
All right.
So we're crossing over from Natchez into Vadalia, back in Louisiana.
We got tonight. Vadalia.
All right, we're coming up in Jonesville, Louisiana, and it's the Frogmore Cotton and Gin. Frogmore Plantation. Unfortunately, it's closed on Sunday. But we drove here, so we're going to take pictures, doggone it. Vadalia waterfront, Riverfront, shall I say. I got this nice little park on the Vadalia side. You get out and stretch your legs for a minute. Right. And that's Natchez, kind of straight down, and on the bank on the other side is where the under the hill places are at. Alright, we're just getting back into Baton Rouge. Memorial Stadium in the background. You're about to have the state capitol. Hey, go ahead and subscribe, ring the notification bell so you won't miss any of this great content. And feel free to share the video as well. Remember, make memories now rather than later. And as always, I'll see you on the next video.